San Senior Connection. Tell her. Oh, I love that so much. Sharply cut me, time Vanessa Poolin. I got sent this track of like the first track sent me basically, and I played it blind on my show, so I didn't actually listen to it. I just got a message from her, played it, and I was so impressed. Like, you know, it's unbelievable. Like, and like it takes a little bottle to play something you haven't heard on the radio, and then actually love it to bits. You know, I think it's one of the first people to actually play it on the radio, and yeah, it's just a real good track that was a feel-good track at the time. And we had a little chat about it. I think it was like done an interview. So about 6, I think it was just before COVID. So yes, anyway, so she's on my show tonight with a new single, Raise Your Hand. So let's play and remind you of Vanessa Poolin, Anders Oliver, and Jill Selwood, and the first track that she released. This is absolutely brilliant. Oh yeah. Vanessa up next.
Roaming around the city, I knew that I could not keep going on. Something had to change though, to leave the past behind and then move on. Move on. Then I met you and you taught me to listen to your song. You played me your harmony, your melody, so I could then move on. Ooh, yeah. I've risen up in my life. My life is now strong. I've risen up in my life. Let's strive to move on. Every kind of feeling so deep inside my soul just felt so wrong. Oh, energy, emotion, I could not find the words to write my song. Oh, because I met you and I realized it's okay not to be strong. Gave opportunity for me to be the me I was all along. I've risen up in my life. My life is now strong. I've risen up in my life. Let's strive to move on.
So that's the first track I heard from Vanessa, like the cream to my coffee. The multi-talented, like absolutely amazing Vanessa is with me tonight. Hi Vanessa.
Hi Mark, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing brilliant. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. I like that idea of the cream to the coffee.
Exactly, yeah. Because we shared a little thing, didn't we, about the coffee thing. You were asking about what's the best coffee maker?
Yes, that's right, yeah. And I took your advice as well, didn't I?
And did you like it?
You suggested. Yeah, it's great.
Oh my God.
Machine.
See,
Yeah.
I'm not just a
It was
DJ, a
lovely.
presenter. I'm a coffee maker too. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Listen, like, you're blown up now. You really are. It's like it's amazing how you guys like been locked down all this time. You're writing this great music, you know, and that was the first time I introduced you, which you know, and I love that track. And I played it blind. I was like, oh my god, like, you know, I think we were maybe the first station to play it. Maybe, I don't know. Okay, was we? Hello. Oh, she's gone. We'll get her back on. Anyway, so I think we were the first like person to play it. Let me just go back here and get Vanessa back on here.
Hi, Mark.
What
Hello.
happened there? Jesus Christ.
Hi. Not sure at
I know.
all. Just cut off.
What I was saying
Technology,
was, when I first heard your track, which you sent to me, yeah, and I got
Yeah.
Roger as well, and I was like, you know, I played it blind that night, and I was like, this is amazing. And since that, I've been like watching your journey, and you had you on my show, like we done an interview like a long time ago, about 6 months ago, wasn't it? Was it the first
Yeah,
lockdown?
it was around that time. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
And then you're putting out these great tunes like everyone else is doing. It's amazing, honestly, it really is. So, how are you coping with this?
Well, exactly as you said. You know, I think lockdown's a challenging time for everyone. And what keeps me motivated is actually creativity, and music's one of them, one of the creative pursuits that I have. So it's like I write as well, songs, but I also write books. And I think that's what's keeping me sane right now
That's
is
good.
just
So you moved from
producing more
You moved from
music.
Bristol to
Yes.
Cardiff, didn't you?
I have, yeah. I think I was in Bristol last time I was on your show.
You was, yeah.
But then I've moved to Cardiff, and I made that move because, well, where I'm living, it's a lot more tranquil, and you know, I'm getting on now. You see, I'm in my 40s now.
Yeah, but do you remember
So
what I
I'm trying
told
to-
you at my story about Cardiff that I felt very
Yeah.
very out of place there, to put it that way. I mean, I was trying to joke with the girl in the pub at the brains bitter, whatever it is. And I said it made out of monkey brains. And she went, "What do you think, Englishman?" It's like, oh dear, you know. So my experience not that great, but you're having a good time there, yeah. I've been seeing your pictures. You've been out in the park taking pictures of like leaves, which are amazing colours. Seriously.
Yeah, there's some beautiful parks here, and because I'm really inspired by nature, it's important for me to be in a place that's, you know, tranquil, has a lot of greenery, and there's not much else to do, is there, right now?
Not really, no.
You know, can't go to the pub,
No.
as you mentioned.
No.
So, you know, so yeah, you just got to adapt and just, you know, whatever you have, and be grateful for what you have, and just, you know, make do with the possibilities that are there.
Do you think
That's
it's
the best we can
enhancing
all
your
do.
writing? Because every artist I speak to, they seem to be getting more from like being locked down than they ever have gotten. I mean, the quality of music is amazing at the moment. Like from the UK, from the US, it's like there's you know the people I've been supporting for a long time are making some big noise now, like yourself.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I mean, I've heard, you know, the music that's come from other artists as well, you know, because I'm still listening. And I like to listen a lot to independent artists as well as mainstream.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's some amazing tracks that are being produced. And I think it's just perhaps, you know, because of the current circumstances, there's a lot of emotions running high. And I think that actually contributes well towards creation of music as well.
Yeah.
So, and you can express yourself in that form of, you know, putting all or what you're feeling and what you're going through into that music. So I think that has something to do with why the quality is fantastic at the moment, and why so many artists, because, you know, they can't go to the live performances as usual and do all the things they normally do. So there's a lot of people doing home recordings, like, for example, I've created a mini studio in my flat. With
a coffee machine. With a coffee machine.
Yeah, with the coffee machine just very close to where the studio is to keep me going.
Thank God for that. That's all I've got to say.
Yeah. That's
So
right.
you're like feeling the vibe, though, because I say the UK artists I feel are really writing some great music at the moment. So that, like yourself, a friend of mine like Shayla Prosper, like there's loads of UK artists, but also the US stuff. They say it seems to be like it's making a bit of a difference at the moment, and it's my friend Bay Bright, like I said, like he's like before your track, I said like he's had 200,000 streams, and it's like, oh my God, like, and I'm wishing that on everybody that I talk to, like yourself. It's just like it's amazing stuff at the moment.
Yeah, I think that there is such an array of artists out there now, and there's perhaps even like myself. I don't come from a traditional music background, and I had a very different career prior to this. I might have mentioned
You did,
on
yeah.
the previous
You
show
did.
that I come
That's
from
right. You did.
I
And I
come
was like,
from like
oh
an
my God.
IT background. Yeah.
You were like a training person or something. Was it training people or something? Was it?
No, IT, and then I
That's
ended
it.
up
Yeah.
doing coaching for
Yeah.
IT professionals. So that's completely different. So this is like, in the past couple of years, and particularly in this current circumstance, I am doing a lot more music than I ever would have done. So I think lockdown's definitely pushing people to explore areas that they would never have considered before. So it's kind of a blessing and a curse at the same time.
So this latest track you put out to say like and I begged you, I went like pick me, didn't I? I admit that, yeah, right?
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
I was really excited about it, and you sent it to me, and I listened. I was like, oh my God, this is so good. I didn't hear the message at first, but then when you said this is what it's all about, I was like, can I ask you a personal question? Is this a personal thing, or is it someone you knew? How did you write this song?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, again, I'm referring back to your last show, so the first show that I came on.
A long time ago.
I think yeah, it feels like an age ago, but
Yeah.
I mentioned that I always write from my own personal experiences, because the music that I write, it has to mean something to me, and it has to move me at soul level. So this is a personal song. I have encountered, I've gone through the experience of
Wow.
domestic violence myself growing up. And I understand the pain that it is inflicted on survivors.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
like to use the word victim. We call ourselves survivors
Yeah.
because we've gone through it. And particularly in this current circumstance when there's a lockdown and there's no escape for people who are being inflicted by domestic violence at the moment. And I just felt, there's no real kind of logic to it, but I just felt I had to write a song at this point in time. And it was just the right time for me to do so. And I just released a magazine article as well in a famous anxiety and mental health magazine. It's called Happyful.
Oh, well, okay.
And I actually released I came out with my story on there, which was really quite daunting because, you're always worried about what people are going to think of you, etc. But I thought, you know what, if it's going to help one person at least, my job is done. And it's the same with the music. I've written this song because I want to help support people who are going through domestic violence at the moment, or those that have survived it and they just are struggling with the emotions because after so much trauma, it's like it's very, very hard to transmute those emotions into something positive when you've been through such an ordeal. So this song is kind of there to almost like to provide a bit of support for them and let them know that they're not alone in this. That there's, I was reading a statistic actually, Mark, the other day on there's a charity called Refuge that you might have heard of.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there was a statistic on there saying that almost 1 in 3 women aged 16 to 59 will experience domestic violence abuse in their lifetime. So that's like 30%.
Yeah.
Approximately 30%.
And
I know it happens.
No one else like to add to this conversation is like, and I'm going to open up completely here. Like my listeners, like this is the absolute truth. I was in a violent relationship, and my girlfriend at the time, I'll probably get lawsuit for this, but anyway, right. but I say, you know, I've had physical abuse from a girlfriend as well. So it's not just domestic violence with girls. It's also with fellas
Yeah.
as well. And the fellas
Exactly.
they don't
Yeah.
speak out about it. And I've said about it a few times, like in different articles, and I've been on like talk shows and things like that. You know, it's very important. Like, you know, kind of like it's predominantly a women thing, but it's also a man thing as well.
It is. I totally agree with you. It's like it's across all genders. It's not. It's just. I think perhaps a lot of men don't come forward. That could be a reason
Because the embarrassment of it being
Yeah.
a man, you know. But it's like,
Yeah.
you know, I was always brought up to be like, you know, to be courteous to women and like respect women, and like, you know, I was lucky. I had very good parents. You know, my dad didn't raise a hand to my mother and things like that. But I had
Yeah.
that, and I didn't know how to deal with it. I really didn't. And I say, you know, I went through quite a lot, and it took me a lot to walk away from that. And that's what I would say to any person that is affected by this and listening tonight. Like, listen, it's like the hardest thing is to walk away. The hardest thing is to make that
Yeah.
call. But make that call, you know. Get yourself safe, you know. It's hard times at the moment. I'm so passionate about this. You know, say I'm letting something out. I've never put this out there, but honestly, I was in a relationship that was really, really like volatile, and you know, as a guy, you don't know how to deal with it. You know, it's like, you know, it's not it's like it's not just women, it's men as well, but the predominantly it's women. But I don't get why women will put up with this stuff. You know, it's like there's plenty of guys out there that will treat a woman like a woman and a man like a man. That's what I say anyway.
Yeah. And well, firstly, I want to say thanks for sharing that, because it's really difficult to come out with it. As I said, I've recently, you know, publicised it to the world really by writing this article and speaking on radio about it. So thanks. But I want to just add to what you're saying is, I think it's a lot to do with why people don't speak out. I think a lot of the time it's to do with they don't really have the support from friends and family, which sounds unbelievable, but
no, I agree with you.
It's a fact. And you know, when I was going through this, people knew about it, friends and family knew, and they didn't do anything. They just carried on as normal. And I think a lot of it is because they've also got their own families to attend to, so that's understandable. You know, life is very busy. But I would just say to people, you know, if you're aware that it's happening, domestic violence is happening to someone you know, do something, help them.
Yeah.
Because
Offer support.
you know, when you're offer support, and there are support lines out there, and you can find them on the internet for sure. There's quite a few these days. I know in my day there weren't so many, as you know, it was 20 years ago this happened. So you know, today we've got such a range of like support and facilities to help people. But it's also, you know, the reason why people, I think, like don't leave is because when you've been subjected to so much, you know, when somebody's really been that abusive to you, you actually start to almost believe what they're saying.
Yeah.
And you lose your confidence, and it's almost like some people feel like, oh gosh, you know, I am nothing. I am not worth anything.
Yeah.
Perhaps what they're saying is right, and they start to doubt themselves. So there's a lot of there's a lot of psychological abuse as well as physical that comes along with it.
Yeah, that's
what
I say. It's not just physical. It's mental abuse as well, which I think sometimes can be a lot worse than what it is. You know, this should go back to my situation that I was in, and I hope listeners are like taking this in. You know, like, and guys taking this in. Like, it's okay to cry. It's okay to reach out to people. You know, but unless you do that, and then when I told friends what was happening, they went to me, just leave the woman, leave her, you know. It's like, and at that point I was like, I can't do that for some reason. It's like a lot of women go for that same thing. I can't leave. This is security, but it's not security if someone's abusing you and mentally and physically abusing you. It's not right. And I say that's, you know, I learned a lot from myself and from my friends, and they, you know, give me a lot of advice on that moment in my life, and I did change my life. So, you know, I'm happily married now, like with a great person. I'm sure Vanessa, you know, like it can live in your past, but you know, you just want to get it out there, don't you?
Yeah, I do, and like, you know, thanks for sharing that, because, you know, I'm realizing more and more now, even within my social circle, how many people have been through this experience.
Exactly.
And I'm hoping that, you know, by creating this song, it almost gives them a bit of solace in the emotions they're going through. Because even when you do leave that situation, you still have to recover from it.
Of course,
and it can take years to do that, depending on how traumatic it was.
Yeah.
So, and it's taken me years to recover.
Thank you for sharing it with us, Signa. I really appreciate it. Honestly, we do.
That's totally fine. I feel like it needs to be shared, because if it's going to help at least another person to perhaps even come out of, someone could be listening right now and is in this situation, and they might, just need a bit of some encouragement.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And what I love about music is that because it, music can be transported anywhere. I mean, especially with the technology we've got today. So someone on the other side of the world could be hearing this song and then get something out of it. Yes. And it might encourage them to change their life. So, it's kind of why I'm in this business altogether, really. I know you mentioned about the 200,000 streams, etc., which is fantastic, but it's not kind of why I'm in music. For me, it's all about, it's all about, does my music help people? Does it move them in a way? Do they feel they're going to gain something from it emotionally? Otherwise, I feel it's just something empty, really, for them to listen to if it's not going to transmute their emotions into something perhaps more positive for them, or help them get through a situation or a breakup, or this situation, domestic violence, or whatever it may be, that is going to help them in some way to feel a lot better than they're currently feeling. So I'm going to just continue to write my tracks based on my own experiences, and also to help others to feel better in what they. So I hope that all makes sense, because I'm just waffling now.
No, it does make sense. It really does. And I can hear it from the heart as well. I'm going to play that Shayla Blossom from our album. This is a track called Sister and Brothers. Then we'll come back and we'll talk about your latest track. I say we've touched on it, but let's talk more about it. So let's play this one from Shayla Prosper. I love this girl. And I say, you UK guys are doing so good. Let's play this track. Not that so much. Sounds like a bit like Joy and Pain, but hey, Shayla, that's fine. Vanessa.
Hello.
Hi. That was quite deep we got into. When I'm listening to music, I'm thinking it's quite deep, but it's a true thing happening now, isn't it? Saying lockdown is the worst thing. These people trapped in like household and things like that. They can't get. They feel they can't get out of.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, so it's a tough time for everyone on all levels, I'd say.
Yeah.
Right now.
So how's Cardiff treating you?
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, like I said, there's so many things I'd love to do here, but obviously there's restrictions in place, so I'm not exploring it as much. And I only moved a few months ago, so I feel like I haven't seen enough of it yet. So hopefully I'll get to it sometime.
I would agree, because I know there's a great steakhouse that was going towards the bay. There's a real great steakhouse down there. That's all. The steak is amazing stuff. Like, we had a great time. I was working in there for like a few months, and I say, like, it was amazing, like amazing steaks. And I'm really easily pleased when it comes to food and stuff. But yeah, it was really good. So, but I love the vibe. Cardiff is very much alive, isn't it?
Usually, yes, I would agree.
Usually, okay.
Usually it would be. I think at the moment there's not many places that are as lively as they could potentially be. But I've heard from other people who live here that normally there are things to do. Like, there's apparently good nightlife,
there's good nightlife,
yeah. So there's definitely. I mean, it's creative as well. I'd say Bristol, where I moved from, that's
great place. Great place.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, and it's only down the road anyway, Bristol. It's only about 45 minutes drive.
Across the bridge.
So,
across the old bridge.
Yeah, across the bridge. So, could always go back and visit at some point. So
raise your hand is a. I mean, when I say the title, it's like, it means to me like kind of like put your hand up and I'm there for you. Is that what you mean?
There's actually double meaning to the song. You could look at it two ways. So it's like, raise your hand. It does tie in with the idea of domestic violence, because when someone's raising their hand to someone, it means that they're about to hit them. So there's that that
Okay,
side
yeah.
of things. But as in the song, in the lyrics, I mentioned raise your hand if you've been through this pain, if you know this pain. And it's almost like raising your hand, to confirm to the world that, yes, I've been through this. And I'm admitting to the world that I've been through this.
Yeah.
And also confirming, like, they know what it feels like. So the survivors that have gone through it, they're like, yes, I've been through it. I understand the pain it's caused to me. But I go on into the song further along to discuss about, it's almost like to build confidence back in survivors. You are a beautiful person.
Of course.
And just because of what you've been through, it doesn't define who you are. So you can transmute that into something more beautiful, more positive in your life. And, you don't have to be stuck in the mindset that, what you were told by your abuser, which is usually that you're no good, you're not good enough, which is what I experienced as well. That,
and me too.
Yeah, that you're useless, you're not capable of anything, you're the scum of the earth, and it gets worse than that as well. The language that can be used by abusers to undermine people. The world is rife of it. I mean, it's something definitely needs to change with humanity if this is still going on in this day and age. So the song really, it's to create something positive for the survivor and for them to realize that they're not any of those things. Everyone has the right to be here, and everyone has the right to flourish. Everyone has the right to do what they want to do in their life. So not to listen to the perpetrators who tell them what they are not capable of and, diminish them. It's to raise their spirits up and make them feel better and say, yes, I am enough and I have the right to express my opinion. I have the right to be who I am. So that's what the song's about as well. So it starts off by, the kind of painful memories, but then it transmutes into something more positive and more uplifting at the end.
I mean, I used to find that, say, in my situation and what I was in, like, let's say, this is quite hard to talk about, but it's like the mental abuse was worse than physical abuse, and it's like, because it was like you were made to feel like you were absolute crap and you was, no one, and like I knew that what I was, but I say that the hurt didn't, like the actual physical hurt didn't actually do nothing to me as such, and it's like, but I found that when I reached out as a guy, no one would listen to me, and it's like, apart from my good friends who went to me, got to get yourself out of this, Mark, got to get yourself out of the situation, and I did, lucky enough, but it took a lot of talking to do that, and I think that's the same with like women. It's like don't put up with this. It's someone that love you, someone that will cherish you. Like they tell you things like, oh, you're this, you're that, kind of thing, and it's like, but you're not. You're a person. You're a real person.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like a process of because it's like a little by little effect. It's like a tiptoeing effect. So they start off by saying, perhaps, you're wonderful, and then slowly, it never just happens straight away. It's like over time, then what I call the narcissistic abuse comes in. Which is basically, almost making you believe that you're not worth anything, and it's over time that happens. So it's like little comments, little digs here and there.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's how narcissists work. They just start with something like minor, and then they almost get to the point where you start to doubt yourself because you believe them. Because you love them, so you believe what they're saying, and then you start to doubt yourself. There's actually a movie based on like that kind of abuse.
Oh, really?
It's called Gaslight. It's called.
Right. Okay.
And there's actually a term that derived from it called gaslighting, which a lot of people don't know about. But it's so common. It's unbelievably common. And because my day job is I do coaching, some of my clients have experienced it as well. And I know it's such a common thing.
So what's the term gaslight? What does it mean, gaslighting? What does it mean?
So the actual movie, I've not seen the movie, but I've read a synopsis of it, and it was talking about how I think there was a woman who was in an abusive relationship, and over time, her partner, he started to make her believe believe everything that he said, but almost make her believe that she was insane and she was crazy, which links into my song actually, because I mentioned about raise your hand if you think if there's like a lyric in there about you're not insane. So raise your hand if you've been through this experience and thinking you're insane, but you ain't. So those are my lyrics, that they're not insane. But there's the person that they're with has driven them to the point where they almost feel like they've lost their own sense of self.
I've experienced that.
They believe.
I've experienced that.
Yeah. And they believe what the other person's saying. But logically, you know it's not true. But because you're emotionally attached, that's why this all happens in the first place. It's about emotions.
Yeah.
So you can't rationalize it. It's something that's more, you're emotionally attached to the person.
Yeah.
And you start to believe what they say, and then some of them turn you against your family, or things like that happen.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely. Like lots of manipulation techniques. And that movie, I think it ends in a scene where, like, the lights are all turned off, and the gas stove is on, so you can see like the gas rings apparently. And the woman in that relationship says, "Oh, but the lights are off and the gas is on," and her partner says to her, "No, you're imagining it. It's not true." But she can clearly see that this is happening.
Gas on, yeah.
So that's where the term gaslighting's come from, because it's like it's making someone believe that they're wrong in what they're thinking and saying, to the point where they lose their mind. And it's quite a common trait of humanity, unfortunately. It happens a lot. But it's just really interesting, the psychology behind it. And I think what's good about, just to say to people who've been through it, is that they're more likely now to recognize that behavior. So going forward, when you meet someone who has those traits, you're kind of a bit like, "Oh, I know what's going on here," and then you make that option whether you want to engage with them or not. So you have the choice. So I think it's a blessing and a curse. It's a really hard time, it's a hard thing to experience, but you can learn a lot from it as well going forward.
I mean, I've learned a lot there. It's like, don't take your past into your future. Not everyone's the same as what you might experience, but you're still going to be nervous going forward and things like that. When you've been hurt, you've been hurt. But yeah, I admire you, and I really do, and I say, this is a very frank conversation, which I didn't expect tonight. But yeah, I get what you're saying. Right, I'm gonna play your song now. So raise your hand and say it's an amazing song. I wish you the best. Honestly, I really do. Vanessa, we'll catch up soon.
Will do. Thanks for having me back on. And
seriously, listen, it's a pleasure for me. It really is. And I say, it's like I want to get your name out there. I want you to spread the word about this. I mean, this is amazing stuff. So, thank you.
Thank you so much, Mark.
No,
and speak to you soon.
I know, I will do.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
You're no longer able to get inside my mind, 'cause I promised myself to leave this all behind. All alone I felt when living through these tears. You were raising your hand to me. Raise your hand if you know this pain. Oh yes, you do. Maybe thinking you're insane. Well, you ain't. Time to recognize that you are beautiful. You are. You will rise, and when you do, you'll say you're no longer able
inside my mind. 'Cause I promised myself to leave this all behind. All alone I felt when living through these tears. When you were raising your hand to me. Was then based on someone else's pain, thinking you were better in the rain. Now that you understand, you were never what they said. Strength is something that you'll find inside. You're no longer able to get inside my mind. 'Cause I promised myself to leave this all behind. You're no longer able to get inside my mind. 'Cause I promised myself to leave this all behind.
Well, that's got to be one of the most emotional interviews I've ever done with anybody. Seriously, I didn't expect a night. Yeah, okay. I'll quit our break. Back in a couple of minutes' time. Keep it like Chocolate Radio for you here on your national station and across the world. It's Chocolate Radio for you. Lovely.
Mark North on Chocolate Radio.